So today I'm going to talk about a new worrying phenomenon called the Owen-Jones derangement syndrome. So I googled the definition and this is what I could find. A vociferous campaign to try and delegitimize Owen-Jones. Often people deploy the political practice of publicizing accusations of dishonesty and attacking one's moral character. Examples include projection, strawmanning, misrepresentation, making an assumption based on the opinions of proud blue tick users, often being bold. Now, it's not known how far this has spread. There's no indication that it's airborne. However, we do know that it can be passed from person to person via social media, and cases seem to be mainly on Twitter. There's been multiple variations of this derangement syndrome, and it actually last broke out 8 years ago, which is still very much present today. This variation is called the Corbin derangement syndrome. It's not known if there's a cure, but usually educating yourself, controlling your outburst of emotions, and taking your recent divorce well can improve the symptoms. So what exactly has Owen-Jones done that has got the centrist and right-wing commentary frothing at the mouth? Well, Owen and Michael Walker from Navarra went to a screening of the October 7th massacre, and why people are angry at Owen rather than being aware of how fucked up a screening of a terrorist attack as it's some kind of movie premiere is beyond me. Anyway, afterwards he made a YouTube video of his reaction, and this is where people have gone after him. I watched the whole thing, which was 25 minutes, and there was nothing controversial in what he said, but that didn't stop the clown show from going full speed. The Owen-Jones video is just so morally crass and insensitive to the realities. Makes you weep once again for humanity, as we haven't wept enough. I watched Owen-Jones's video about the footage of the Hamas video. He reminded me very much of the Holocaust denier David Irving. The level of manipulation was cunning and malevolent. I recorded my own reactions. I'll hopefully have some snippets up tomorrow. Can't wait. And apparently Owen is somehow comparable to Holocaust denial. Just insane. Owen-Jones really is a nasty piece of work. The Jews suffer the biggest massacre since the Holocaust. Owen J wants to play it down and deny stuff. While he doubts actual atrocities, he quotes Hamas stats as facts. Oh, so the genocide of Palestinians is an actual atrocity. Very telling. Some people are just awful human beings. Owen-Jones is one of those. Now, this one from Julie Hartley-Brewer may genuinely be actionable. Can anyone help? Is this Owen-Jones by any chance related to the one who's busy downplaying the horror of the massacre of 1,200 Israelis by his favourite terrorist group? Asking for a friend. When Owen-Jones got punched in the pub by some far-right scumbag, he didn't like it. He thought it was politically significant. He was right. Nobody danced around demanding evidence. I mean, when he went to the police, they would have literally searched for evidence in order to convict the attacker, but okay. But when 1,400 Jews are murdered by far-right scumbags, did it really happen? Is it important? So what about this video that Owen made has prompted such extreme attacks? Well, initially, he made the point that the screening should be open to all journalists. It's important that it has maximum scrutiny. Now, many people took that as Owen downplaying the attacks and suggesting that Israel may not be honest about what happened. Well, I mean, Israel has a history of outright lies, but even if they didn't, I don't think that's relevant to the point Owen is making. Being a journalist requires you to scrutinize absolutely everything. Owen didn't once say that he thought Israel had lied about anything. He just simply said that the footage should be made public rather than having a handful of selected guests, which is just objectively correct. He then goes on to say that he didn't see all of the claims Israel made in the footage. This includes a claim that Hamas beheaded babies. Michael also confirms that wasn't present either. He didn't say it never happened. He just said that it's still unconfirmed. But once again, this caused anger because apparently Owen is now calling bullshit on that pretty extreme claim. We've heard a lot of hyperbole about what Hamas has supposedly done, and none of us are like, yeah, all these claims are bullshit, and no one is trying to paint Hamas in a good light. However, if claims are made, it's literally the job of journalists to find out if it's true or not, which is what we've lacked. Everyone has taken all the claims by Israel at face value, which is stupid. So to suggest that something like that may not be true, that doesn't make you a Hamas supporter or a monster. And why are these people so desperate that this has to be true? I mean, it's kind of sickening. I think we should all want the claim that babies were beheaded to be false, right? I don't know. There are definitely some who just want it to be the case. Now, people have accused Owen of also downplaying rape. This is a clip of what they were referring to.
Now, if there was rape and sexual violence committed, we don't see this on the footage either. Now, a warning here for deeply distressing description, but a clip of an Israeli woman inspecting a badly burned woman's corpse to see if she was a relative she had no underwear. This has been offered as evidence of rape, but that's not what you would consider conclusive evidence.
So according to him, there was footage of a burnt victim with their underwear taken off, or it wasn't there. Now, Owen says that's not concrete proof of rape, which is factually correct. Most rape allegations don't ever get to a stage of conviction for multiple reasons, and one being that it's just very hard to prove. Now, there were claims that this victim was raped and the lack of underwear is proof. But again, he is a journalist. He is supposed to go through every fine detail with scrutiny. That, to me, wasn't downplaying rape. He was just putting a logical hat on... putting on a logical hat and analysing the situation. But people felt that was a disgusting response because it wasn't an emotional reaction. Look, I get that. Like, when you see some really messed up stuff, it's expected to have a pretty strong reaction, which Owen did. I mean, he said the video will stay with him forever. But again, as a journalist, you kind of sometimes have to put your emotions aside and scrutinise what you're watching. So I think it's very unfair that he's been accused of downplaying rape. Like, when the police investigate a crime like that, they have to go through the evidence. Does that mean they are downplaying it? I don't think so. Another sin he committed was not immediately supporting a genocide after watching the footage. What a monster. Now, most of the people attacking Owen 100% haven't watched his video or haven't watched it in full. They're making claims of things he hasn't done. They've just made it up in their heads. Show me where he downplayed the attack, when he literally prefaced the video with how horrible it was and gave his full condemnation, as he does every single time. Whenever he goes on TV, I mean, actually, whenever leftists go on TV and we want to make the pro-Palestinian case, we always start off with, what happened on the 7th of October was wrong, I condemn it. I mean, you should, it is wrong, but like, it's become a thing where you have to do it every single time. And I'm okay with that. Like, the landscape of politics today is people want to smear you, they want to misrepresent your position. So if you have to kind of almost in a script-like way condemn Hamas, again, as you should, every single time, I'm fine with that. But why do these people get so angry with him? Well, I think that's because people like Jones hold a mirror up to them. It's pure projection from their part. And I'd like to ask, what if Hamas had a screening like this, with footage of the IDF indiscriminately killing Palestinians, and I'm sure there's a lot out there, what would the response be from these people? Their immediate reaction would be, it's all propaganda, wouldn't they? Apparently Owen is calling BS on Israel whilst believing Hamas 100%. I mean, he's not, but that's exactly what these people are doing, just the other way around. Their level of analysis is good guy good and bad guy bad. So if Israel makes any spurious claims, it must be believed 100%. And if you suggest that maybe the claims should be independently verified, you are immoral, you are horrible, and you support terrorism. But if Hamas says anything, well, it's completely a lie. Everything is made up. It's all rubbish. The lack of journalistic integrity from the outrage is exactly why most of them work in the mainstream media, because legacy media requires no in-depth analysis. Both Israel and Hamas will lie about certain things. That's what happens in war. So the role of journalists is to find out the truth, regardless of who's on your side. None of this downplays the horrors of what Hamas did, but people are projecting onto people like Owen because they don't want to face the fact that they are biased in this and don't have an ounce of journalistic integrity. So instead of admitting that they believe Israel uncritically, that they don't think there's a genocide happening, that the response to the murder of 20,000 Palestinians is justified, they would rather attack people who directly or indirectly call them out. But I'm just so sick of these people because it's complete faux outrage. You don't get to morally grandstand on such issues when you fail to call out Israel's genocide. So Hamas killed 1,200 Israeli citizens. That's the figure we have so far. And if you think that's abominable, which it is, yet you don't think that 20,000 Palestinians being murdered is, then shut the fuck up. All these people going after Owen are genuinely the worst kinds of people. Jake Wallace-Simmons, who works for the right-wing paper Jewish Chronicle, is a massive Islamophobe. Julia Hartley-Brewer is a hateful person through and through. Yet suddenly, they are the beacon of humanity. Get the fuck out of here. So let's look at the wider picture. Why is it so important to make the attack on the 7th of October as visceral and as violent and depraved as possible? As if it isn't already. I mean, killing innocents at a festival is depraved. However, it's not exactly hard to understand that Israel is trying to whip up as much of an emotional reaction as possible to get people to back their actions? Why is there a specific screening of a terrorist attack rather than it being opened up to the normal channels? I mean, it's clear they are trying to convince people to back them. And I'm not even passing judgment on this. States always have a level of propaganda during war. I mean, I can see why they do it, but it's that fact as to why we need high quality journalism to find out what is true and what isn't. That's people's jobs. Yet so-called journalists are attacking those for actually doing their jobs. Now, regardless of how wrong October the 7th was, there are individuals and the Israeli state who are trying their best to justify the genocide of Palestinians, and that is wrong.